Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome back and thank you for spending your time with me. So while everyone else is arguing about Harry and Meghan's visit to the school in Harlem and others are posting photographs from 2013 and trying to sell it as Meghan's next husband, I'm going to do something very different and I'm going to start this video by telling you a story, one which many of you may know already. But please, if you're interested in the rest of the video, then hear me out. The story is, well, it's actually a parable of the prodigal son. And you will find that story in the Bible, Luke 15, verse 11 to 32. But I'm going to tell you my own version of it. There once was a father and two sons. One day the youngest asked his father for his share of the inheritance. The father, however, decided to give both brothers their inheritance. The younger brother was delighted because for the first time he had money which he could spend any which way he wanted. It did not take long, though, before the youngest son ran out of money, having squandered it all. With no money and no home, his only choice was to find a job, and the only job he could find was feeding pigs. So, in desperation, he headed home, intending to ask his father for a job as a servant. However, when he returned, his father hugged and kissed him and welcomed him back. The younger son was surprised because he expected his father to be angry, but instead the father gave his son the finest robes, sandals, and even a ring to wear. The father also arranged a party to celebrate his son's return. The older son was upset and angry. Here he was, he stayed behind and worked and took care of his father, and he thought it was unfair that his brother was to be rewarded for the mistake he made, and he refused to go to the party. Noticing his eldest son's disapproval, the father told him, "You are ever with me, and all that I have is yours. But thy younger is lost, and now he is found." This story, or then parable, reminds me of Charles, William, and Harry. William, the eldest, stayed behind, and Harry took the money and split. We don't exactly know what debauchery Harry got himself involved in alongside his wife in America, but none of us are deaf or blind, and we can all see that Harry is not the little shit we knew and loved anyway anymore. So now we are faced with the stories about Frogmore. Yes, believe it or not, I think the king made the right decision to agree not to renew Harry's lease on Frogmore, because it's not fair either to reserve a huge property for someone who is hardly ever there and do not really need it. All crown properties occupied by a royal or member of the family have agreements in place whereby the royal is responsible for most of the basic maintenance. Well, all maintenance except for structural work, and sometimes they even take responsibility for some of the structural work as well. And the reason for this is because none of them are paying market related rental. So while Harry and the wife are staying in California and paying less than market value rent, who was supposed to maintain the property? I was told that when the Queen was still alive, she sent some of her staff at Windsor over to Frogmore to clean the garden and air the house. But really, it is not part of any formal agreement, and the Queen did it out of the goodness of her heart. But with his father not living at Windsor almost full time like the Queen did for the last year, 2 or 3 of her life, this kind of help was not going to happen or is feasible. Now, at the time when it became known that the lease was going to be allowed to expire, it was said that the king offered them a suite at Buckingham Palace whenever they visited Britain. However, now it is said that no one knows anything about such an arrangement. Well, Buckingham Palace has 52 royal and guest bedrooms and 78 bathrooms, so quite frankly, I cannot see the issue. I'm guessing, and I mean I'm guessing, I was not told this from anyone, that the issue has something to do with security. I am guessing that the king cannot dare say, Harry, you can stay, but not your wife, because we don't trust her. Because next thing you know, she will go crying, email, letter, or recorded phone call in hand, to the first magazine or talk show that will have her. The thing is, I guess that they really do not trust her. Remember, there is the story about Charles putting her on a plane back to Toronto after she was caught taking photographs in private quarters, and that was before they were married. However, true or not, we know they had photographs taken in private areas of the palace, and we know they did because we saw it on the Netflix series. So if someone is to tell me accommodation was denied at Buckingham Palace when it comes to Harry and Meghan, or even just Harry while he is still with Meghan, I will believe it. And so it is said that Harry asked and was denied a room at Windsor Castle when he wanted to visit his grandmother's grave. Apparently, he did not give enough notice, and the official excuse is that the absence of formal notice and tight schedules made the desired arrangement unfeasible. Now, as the Duke or ex-Duke, as far as I'm concerned, was on his own, and Windsor Castle has in the main residence alone between 60 and 200 toilets, and God alone knows how many bedrooms, because even the official website can't tell me, except that some of the rooms are multifunctional and therefore a count is not always accurate. So, as the king is not there 24/7, I am practically sure that they don't keep state secrets in the king's study or office at Windsor. And regardless of my distaste of Harry's conduct, I'm practically sure that he won't steal one of his father's precious artworks. So, in light of the parable I read to you at the beginning of this video, I feel that it is rather distasteful that he was denied a room at Windsor Castle. Now, I speak to or DM or email with quite a few of my subscribers from time to time, and many of you have issues or had issues with your children. And it is really under extreme circumstances, very extreme, where a child will not be given a bed or roof over the head. Now, some of us, or some of you, may believe that the situation with Harry is indeed extreme enough, but I'm not sure that I actually agree with that. The next thing we were told is that Harry and Meghan wanted to rent an apartment at Kensington Palace, which was allegedly denied. And now we are told that the story that Harry will be offered a place to stay at Kensington Palace on a permanent or semi-permanent basis is also not true, or at least no one at Kensington Palace knows anything about it. Now, I can almost understand accommodation at Kensington and Buckingham Palace being a bit of a tricky situation, particularly if there are trust issues. because the king's main office or offices are at Buckingham Palace, just like William and Catherine's are still at Kensington Palace. But Windsor Castle is also managed by the royal household, and therefore the king thus does not need approval from the Crown Estate to accommodate anyone, let alone a member of his family. And now I'm going to become even more controversial by absolutely disagreeing with the king's conduct when it comes to his youngest son. Yes, what Harry did and said in the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, and the book must have been rather painful and or agitating to the king. I fully understand that. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But no one, not even a king, can run away from his problems forever. Nor can he continue to ignore the situation with Harry and Meghan, because it does not just include the family, but also the crown or then the monarchy. I made a video in which I explained the difference between the royal family and the crown. But I have not yet posted that particular video because it contains other things and research which I do not think we are in the right place or that it is the right time to talk about. So I'll let it stew a while until I wake up one morning and feel that it is indeed the right time to release the video. For now, let's just say, in a way of a quick and easy explanation, that the royal family is part of the crown. The crown is actually the organization, the management, the grey suits, if you will, and not just the king. The crown is the business end of things, so to speak. So at the moment it looks like or appears as if the king does not have the guts or interest. Now I certainly don't know which, to safeguard the crown and the monarchy by removing his son from the line of succession, by removing him from the councillors of state, and by putting his titles in abeyance. But he is indeed ruthless when it comes to protecting his private space and belongings from his son and his son's wife. So we have a scenario where we have been saying that the king is unable to differentiate between being a father and being a king. And I myself subscribed to that notion. But now I have changed my mind, and I think the king has no problem whatsoever to differentiate between being a parent, a brother, a grandfather, and being a king. I think he gets it 100%. But I think that he basically cares less about the crown and monarchy than he cares for himself and what belongs to him. All the things in the media, the debacle surrounding things like the Harlem school debacle, the entitled behavior of Meghan Markle, and all of that, I lay squarely in front of the king's door, because would she have acted so entitled had she not been able to write Duchess in front of her name? I don't think so. Would she have been given all these opportunities to act this way had she not been able to write Duchess in front of her name? I don't think so. I do, however, think that she is a narcissist who is indeed too big for her boots. And that has nothing to do with the poor king. That is not his fault. But the point I'm making is that I do not think she will be able to sell herself or be given the opportunities she had been given if it wasn't for those pesky darn titles. And we all know that it has been the king himself who had been vetoing the New Titles Act. Like before, I believe the king, as head of the Church of England, should face his son head on. Whether he does it with a lawyer and a psychiatrist and a priest in attendance, it doesn't matter. He has to do it. This has to end. And in the very, very least, Harry and his wife will have to be separated from the crown or the monarchy, and thereafter, if possible, or if the king wishes to, he can once again embrace his son, welcome him, hug him, give him the family ring to wear, whatever he, the father, desires to do, because that is the emotional part, a matter of the heart. But the crown is basically a firm belonging to the nation, and the nation need not forgive and forget, because the relationship between the crown and the family is a business relationship, a constitutional relationship, and the crown belongs to the nation. Okay, guys, that is it. That is my opinion based on my background, my upbringing, my education, and my opinion is also based on my emotions. So we'll talk about it some more another day. And so, until then, please take good care of yourselves until we meet again on the next one. Bye.